What is up, YouTube? Welcome to another video on high altitude investing. In today's update, I'm going to be talking about Bitcoin, the weekly candle close, and where we expect prices to move from here. So make sure that you hit that like button for me, hit the subscribe button with the notification bell, because I am dedicated to uploading 5 days a week all through 2020, keeping you guys posted on the cryptocurrency markets so you know what to do and where to place your bids, where to get out of your positions, and all of that good stuff. So in today's video, again, we're going to be running over the weekly candlestick, Bitcoin price updates, and getting into the nitty gritty of where I expect this market to move from here. So without further ado, let's get right into this. Okay, so in the last Bitcoin video, I was talking about how the weekly candlestick needed to close bullish without a lot of wicking action on the top, because when you have large wicks on the top, it usually signifies that the market is indeed taking a lot of profits. So that weekly candlestick closed today on the 13th, and what we are seeing with that weekly candlestick is, let me just mute my computer here real quick, is we have a little bit of a wick on the top, but a very small one. So we did indeed recover in the market quite significantly and pushed upwards. So this is predominantly a bullish candle. We do not see a huge wick like this one or this one. Now that doesn't mean that the market can't still sell off, fail support, and then go down to the 786 that we were talking about, because the two real Fibonacci levels that we're watching on this cycle are the .618 and the .786, but at the moment we are seeing strength off of the 618 and the .65. So as long as that continues to hold the case, and as long as we continue to see another bullish candle on the weekly and even maybe the 3-day, then this is more likely for us to start the uptrend again rather than go down to the 786. So right now it's really just a waiting game. We need to wait and see what happens in the market so that we can get more confidence as to the direction from here. There is a descending resistance line right here that we broke above and closed above successfully. So what would really signify a lot of strength in the market is if we get another bullish candlestick on the weekly or the 3-day out of that descending resistance breakout. So if we drop down to the 3-day, you can see that we have a bullish candle right here. We did get a wick on the top of this candle, but it was quickly eaten up by another bullish candle. This bullish candle engulfed that wick, so the selling pressure wasn't strong enough to maintain itself. Now, there is some resistance at the market in this current area, which we talked about in the last video as well. And I want to see that resistance broken above with a strong, decisive 3-day candlestick, preferably with a large volume spike, similar to these bigger volume spikes right here that we see that are buying volume as we broke out of that descending resistance level. So really what you want to do in this type of a situation is, before you jump the gun and put huge positions on the market, wait for that confirmation above the resistance level, wait for that 3-day candlestick to confirm that we're going higher, and then you can be a little bit more aggressive in the market. Right now, personally, it's really just depends. We could go down to the 1-day candlestick and see that there is a little bit of a rejection here on the 1-day candle, but this candlestick could quickly change in the future. And also, if you go down into the 12-hour time frame, you will see a doji candlestick right now that could really go either way in the next 12 hours in this market. So as far as candlesticks go, the bigger time frames are going to be the most telling, the most useful, and that's why I look at the 3-day time frame, and that's why I look at the 1-week time frame. But you guys, in the big picture, this is looking very explosive for Bitcoin. This is something that can fuel the next bull run, especially as we continue to move above resistance levels. And with that being said, I really want to make sure that you guys are aware of what's going on so that you don't miss the biggest opportunity of your life, because the Bitcoin markets are likely to produce the most millionaires and billionaires out of any other industry in history. You thought the internet bubble was big. You thought the internet changed the world. Wait until the entire planet has access to consistent, solid banking and currencies that they can trust. That is going to truly revolutionize our economy. That's going to truly revolutionize the finance world as we know it. And with that being said, Bitcoin is going to be the forefront of that whole move. It's going to be the thing that carries the innovation, the thing that catches the eye, the thing that institutional money is interested in. And it's all because of the fact that there's a large demand for this type of currency in the world. We do not have anything like this, and we've never had anything like this. And there has been like people that tried to make digital money in the past, but because of the fact that it wasn't based on the blockchain, it could be hacked, it could be manipulated, and most of them were centralized. So this is really where things are being changed. This is where we are revolutionizing the way that we do money and the way that we do finance. And kind of on top of that, you have to remember that Bitcoin effectively works as a one world currency. Now, I'm not going to get too political with this. I know some people are really against the whole idea of a one world government, of one world currencies, of one world anything. Me personally, I think that it's very possible that we are headed towards one world governments, one world currencies. And with that being said, I think that the Bitcoin decentralization aspect will take a lot of the power out of the government's hands. So maybe we can move into a world where the government isn't controlling us, but rather mediating decisions and really working as what they were originally supposed to function as. And with that being said, I'm not specifically picking a political side, but that's kind of what I foresee in the future. And I think Bitcoin is going to be a huge part of making that happen, and privacy coins will be a huge part of making that happen as well. Now, if you look at the Fibonacci, I've talked about this in the past, but I'm going to run up on it again. If you look at the Fibonacci from the peak low to the peak high, we see that we fell in between the 786 and the 88% retracement, just like we did in the last Bitcoin cycle when we mooned all the way up to the $1,100, $1,200 range. As you can see from this peak low to this peak high, we fell between the 786 and the 88%. So we're doing the same exact thing from a market cycle perspective as we did in the last cycle. And although it doesn't look identical, it's rhyming. So sometimes you have a repeat of a market cycle that doesn't look identical to the previous cycle, but it rhymes with it. And that's what we're seeing in the market right now. This is actually also falling onto the .618 and the .65 from the peak low to the peak high. Now, this in forms of Elliott wave theory is a 1 and a 2 wave. So inside of this market, we are seeing a 1 wave form. And that is where we rallied up just below 14,000. And this is our 2 wave in the market. Now that 2 wave, like I've mentioned previously, if we reject off of this resistance and fall back down, we could still go down to the 786 in forming that 2 wave. But let's just, for now, say that this 2 wave is in place. What can happen in the future for Bitcoin? What could we see as far as future price projections go? Well, it's pretty simple to take the polyline tool right here and start to map out potential moves. The next wave would be a 3 wave. Now that 3 wave is going to be extremely impulsive, you guys. It's probably going to take us up to new all-time highs, and 3 waves by definition are impulsive in nature. And then we should have some type of corrective phase, and then we'll have another impulse in the market. Now, when I draw these lines, I don't want you guys to come over here and be like, oh, Dalin says that prices are going to go to 9,400 and then back down to 7,400 and then up to 11,000 and then back down to 9,700. This is not every single swing that's going to happen in the market exactly how it's going to happen. If we could do that, we could all make $1 billion on BitMEX, max leverage, knowing exactly where everything's going to flip around. That's just not how markets work. Markets are based in probability and projection of direction. And so what we're seeing actually is a projection of the three wave. Now, how that three wave exactly behaves, it could make a triangle pattern and then break up. It could break up really quickly and then dip down. It can see lots of different prices and places that it finds support or resistance along the way. But overall, the three wave is expected to come, and that three wave is going to take us to new all-time highs in the market. And so this is kind of what we're seeing here, is that 1, 2, 3, 4, and that 5-wave structure coming. Now, if you haven't seen anything like this in the past, I highly recommend that you go ahead and check out on TradingView other examples of markets that have done similar things. So one of my favorite examples of a market that has done this very, very same thing that we see today is going over to the NASDAQ composite, not just the NASDAQ stock price, but the composite index, and then looking at the previous market cycles in the NASDAQ, because this whole move right here is very similar to the NASDAQ's first real cycle. So let me pull up this chart for you guys. And we just need to switch into a bigger time frame here so you can really see what in tarnation is going on. We'll go into a 1 month time frame. Okay, so this is kind of what I'm talking about. This whole move right here is that parabolic run up, and then you have a very large correction. So this is that parabolic run up and that very large correction. And then you get a 1 and a 2 wave. In this specific case, the 2 wave retraced back down to major support. That could happen, but I'm kind of watching the 618 and the 786 right now as major support levels before we jump the gun on a huge double bottom pattern. Either way, this is a 1-2 wave, and then this is a huge 3 wave in the NASDAQ. And that's kind of why I see this 3 wave coming in Bitcoin, is because we're following a similar market structure as what the NASDAQ composite followed. And it makes sense, because if you look at Bitcoin as the main coin, the main currency inside of the cryptocurrency network, which it definitely is, you can't argue that. I mean, you can try to argue, but you'll sound like an idiot, because Bitcoin has the biggest market capitalization, which means it has the most investors, the most volume, and the most people interested in it. Now, with that being said, if we see that kind of structure in the NASDAQ composite, which is like the number one thing in the stock market, that and the S&P 500, those are like the two big things that people watch, then you can kind of see that Bitcoin, it would make sense that Bitcoin follows a similar fractal of emotion, because it's the leader of the cryptocurrency markets. So that's why I see a lot of validity in this comparison. And also, whenever you're looking at fractal analysis, you can compare different markets in different places and see the fractal, the human emotional cycle that took place, and compare it with other places. So yes, you guys, I think that Bitcoin will go well into the $30,000+ range, and probably higher than that into the future, because even this 5th wave right here is not the end of the market. It's actually just the beginning of the new trend. And I think that it'll be a very, very profitable thing for a lot of people. And you can really gauge the sentiment of this possibility of this thing happening because of the fact that a lot of people have lost faith. And so whenever a lot of people lose faith in something, it's usually the best time to be part of it. You know, build businesses in recessions. Build your wealth up in a recession. Because if you can build yourself up inside of a recession, think and imagine what amazing things are going to come to you in the bullish market that comes after that. And that's what we kind of see right here with the NASDAQ as well. We can see that if you are building your businesses in 2008, if you are building your businesses after the internet bubble crash, you reaped some very, very profitable rewards moving into the future from doing that, from making that choice, from being like, oh, I'm going to decide to take some risk here by building when everybody's scared. Because actually, if you really, really think about it, When the market has dropped the most, it's actually the least amount of risk. When the markets went up a lot, it's actually the most amount of risk. So you really have to think contrarian and flip your ideology, flip your belief system around from thinking based on emotion to where, oh no, the market dropped, the world might end, everything's going to fall apart, to thinking, oh, the market dropped, this is the lowest risk scenario for me to really be building up my business. And that's one of the reasons that I'm uploading 5 days a week all through 2020, you guys. So if you appreciate that, hit that like button and the subscribe button for me, especially if you're a new viewer. Hit the subscribe button with the notification bell and comment where you're tuning in from in this beautiful world. The reason that I'm building my business up in a cryptocurrency recession is because I see it as the lowest risk, and I think we're going to see a similar thing happen that what happened to the NASDAQ composite as what we're seeing in Bitcoin. So don't lose sight of the big picture. That's the big message here, is keep sight of the big picture. Stop worrying about the 12 hours. Stop worrying about the 4 hours. Stop worrying about the 1 hour. Stop worrying about the 5 minutes. Stop worrying about the 1 minute. Start looking at that 3 day, that 1 week, that 1 month, and keep the big picture in sight. And remember that recessions are the best times for you to be building your business or building your cryptocurrency portfolio up. And with that being said, you guys, I love every single one of you. One more time, hit that like button for me, and I will catch you guys in tomorrow's video. As always, stay profitable out there.